In the United States, 911 operators receive up to 500 calls a day. Some are genuine emergencies, but a shocking number of people call for the dumbest reasons you could possibly imagine. Whether it's over cold fast food or really needing to go pee, here are some of the stupidest reasons people have called 911. Permit Patty. Some people can find the pettiest reasons to call the police, but you'll struggle to find someone pettier than this woman.
This woman don't want to let a little girl sell some water. She calling police on an 8-year-old little girl. You can hide all you want. The whole world gonna see you, boo.
Yeah, and illegally selling water without a permit? Yeah.
On my property.
It's not your property.
In the now viral clip, Allison Attell can be seen reporting the heinous crime of an 8-year-old girl selling bottles of water without a permit. Shock horror! The video was taken by the girl's older cousin and quickly went viral, causing a mass backlash against Allison, who the internet damningly dubbed Permit Patty. And with this sudden surge in attention, it wasn't long before Allison's identity was made public. Several businesses she'd been set to work with cut ties with her, and her reputation took a major hit as people accused her actions of being racially motivated. Allison denied this and even said in a later interview that she hadn't phoned the police at all, only pretended to. Right. Even if true, it doesn't make her any less of a horrible person. As for the little girl, it turns out she was selling the water to help save up money for a trip to Disneyland. Well, after the video went viral, one kind citizen decided to buy 4 tickets for her and her family.
They know you want to go to Disneyland, and they bought you 4 tickets to go.
Aw, at least something good came from this mess. McDonald's Most Wanted. Don't you just hate it when you're leaving your local fast food joint only to discover that the food you just paid for is ice cold? Do you hate it so much you'd call the police over it though? Well, then 24-year-old Antoine Sims clearly does. In August 2022, he called 911 after getting into an altercation with staff over being served cold fries. Police arrived at what they assumed to be an overblown customer service dispute, interviewed Antoine and the restaurant owner, and returned to their squad car. So far, so standard. But after searching Antoine's name in the police database, they made a shocking discovery. It turns out our dissatisfied customer had a warrant out for his arrest. And this was no minor crime. It related to a homicide case from back in 2018. What? And he called the cops over some cold fries? How stupid can you get? After quickly gathering himself, the officer returned to the restaurant to question Antoine further, but the wanted criminal started to suspect something. As he was handed some documents to sign, he suddenly bolted for it. But it wasn't gonna be that easy. The police gave chase, and after utilizing a taser, Antoine was quickly caught and arrested. Mr. Sims was charged, but the details of his trial are currently unknown. What we do know is he's definitely not loving it. Love at first sight. They say love makes people do stupid things. Well, that's definitely the case for this caller who decided she'd try using 911 as her own form of speed dating.
911, do you need fire, medical, or police?
No, ma'am, I don't. I don't have an emergency. 2 police officers just left my house just now. Third. Could I get their names, please?
Was it?
Just the music turned down. He was the cutest cop I've seen in God knows how long. I just don't know his name.
Earlier that day, a Washington County deputy had arrived at Lorna Jean Dudash's house after her neighbor made a noise complaint. It was a short interaction, a simple knock on the door, and a warning to keep it down. But despite the wholly unromantic nature of the exchange, something clearly stirred within Lorna. After he left, she waited until she was sure he was back at the station and then, consumed by the throes of passion, dialed 911.
Doesn't come very often a good-looking man comes at your doorstep.
Do you need him to come back there?
Oh, I'd like that, yeah.
Why do you need him to come back there?
Because I have an emergency. I'll think of something. He's cute. Would you throw him back? I think they're partners. Throw him back my way, would you?
It's pretty clear that the officer is missing the signals. As the call continues, Lorna starts to get a bit more honest about her situation.
Okay, and where is the noise?
Honey, I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? I just thought he was cute. I'm 45 years old, and I'd like to meet him again. But I don't know how to go about doing that without calling 911.
I mean, you've got to give her some credit for their brutal honesty, and in one sense it worked. The deputy she had her eyes on did return, only it wasn't with flowers and chocolate, it was with handcuffs. Dudash was arrested for misuse of the 911 dispatch line by the very cops she'd fallen for, an offense punishable by a fine of potentially thousands of dollars and even a possible year of jail time. Talk about a romantic tragedy. But you know what would be an even bigger tragedy? If you missed out on the exciting videos that are uploaded to my channel every week. So click those like and subscribe buttons so you never miss out. Butt dial disaster. Is there anything more relaxing than kicking back and playing video games with your friends? Well, you might feel different if you knew it could end with a real gun being pointed in your face. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened to 17-year-old Elijah Siraki in 2023. During a heated match in the first-person shooter Rainbow Six Siege, Elijah unknowingly butt-dialed 911. Not the worst thing in the world, but things got really bad when the operator heard what Elijah was saying to his teammates over headset.
I just had to kill 2 people. 911. I can't hear anything in the background other than just killed 2 people. And he's not, like, I hear him mumbling, but...
Now, police don't take potential double homicides lightly. Kentucky officers raced to Elijah's house ready for what they assumed would be a deadly confrontation. Instead, they found the teen walking out, phone in hand, desperately trying to explain the misunderstanding. Unsure what to believe, officers patted him down and went inside the house to check that it was clear. Sure enough, though, all they found was a sick gaming setup. Ha! I'm cutting the kid some slack for this one, but next time I'm sure he'll be leaving his phone on the table while he games. King of Cringe. Oh, YouTube pranksters. I'm yet to find a single one that's actually funny and not a total douchebag. Unfortunately, King Sid, hasn't changed my luck. Known for posting all kinds of outrageous content to his 3 million subscribers, Sid's no stranger to controversy. But in January 2022, he uploaded his stupidest video yet. From a gas station, Jason and his friends call 911 to report supposed suspicious activity.
Drive. He has a black hoodie. He's keep going in and out. Like, people keep coming into the car and...
Then Sid and Co. sat back in their car and waited with hidden cameras to film everything that went down. Sure enough, cops arrived at the scene, and before long they started questioning the YouTubers. All 3 passengers gave intentionally suspicious answers, prompting the officers to force them out of the vehicle while they searched it. But instead of finding anything illegal, the police discovered, wait for it, a bunch of cans of Coca-Cola. Oh, hilarious. Not. The 3 young men were let go, but a month later the Coral Springs Police Department charged Sid with misuse of 911. Good. 4 officers had responded that day and wasted over 45 minutes on the fake call, during which time several real emergencies were held up. I'd love to say Jason's content has improved since the incident, but I'm afraid that would be a lie. No good deed. A man was driving down a Nebraska highway back in March 2023 when suddenly a car came speeding towards him on the wrong side of the road. Panicking, the man barely swerved out of the way, then made this phone call.
I'm on Highway 77 going north, and there's somebody that is on the wrong side of the road.
And then did you see what color or type of vehicle it was?
No, he had his brights on, man. He almost ran me off the road.
The police jumped into action and headed onto the highway to look for the lunatic. Meanwhile, our man continued chatting with officers about the near-death experience he just had.
Dude, he almost hit me, so I was like, holy...
But then, something completely unexpected happened. The man who'd made the call saw flashing lights behind him and realized he was getting pulled over. What kind of injustice was this? He pulled to a stop and an officer opened his door. It turns out the other car he'd seen hadn't been driving on the wrong side of the road at all. It had been him the whole time. How in the heck? After doing a breathalyzer, police discovered he was over twice the legal limit. Damn. So this nincompoop not only got so drunk he didn't know which side of the road he was on, he also called the cops on himself. Can you get any more brain dead? Help with homework. People in trouble might use code words over the phone to try and communicate they need help without alerting anyone around them. No doubt that's what this operator was thinking when he received a call from what sounded like a small child.
Yeah, I need some help.
What's the matter?
With my math.
Was your mouth?
No, with my math. I have to do it. Will you help me?
Sure. Where do you live?
No, it's my math.
Yeah, I know it. Where do you live, though?
He's doing a good job of keeping the kid on the line while trying to get as much information as possible from him. As the call continues, however, the operator begins to realize that in this case, there are no code words.
How old are you?
I'm only 4.
4?
Yeah.
Yep, the child really called the cops just for help with his math homework. I can't go too hard on him for this, he was only 4. Something tells me the mother learned a valuable lesson about leaving her kid alone with the phone, though.
Sonny, what are you doing? Just playing math off of me with my math. What did I tell you about playing on the phone?
Your mother.
Help? The car says that. I'm in the police.
The not-so-usual suspects. Being a criminal isn't easy. Always looking behind your back, constantly on the alert, knowing that at any moment the police might pop out of nowhere. Well, it seems that for these two wannabe criminals, the stress was just too much and they had to call the men in blue.
Hi, we're the two dumbasses that got caught trying to bring some stuff through your border, and all your cops are just driving around us like a bunch of jack wagons. I just really would like you guys to end it. If you could help me out with that, we would like to get on with it.
You got caught doing what?
Leland Ayala Deliente and Holland Swart turned themselves in for transporting 20 pounds of jazz cabbage from Las Vegas to Idaho. Only the cops weren't actually onto them. The pair had clearly got high on their own supply and became so paranoid they just thought they'd been found out.
Do you guys have any guns or weapons or anything on you at all?
We don't have any of that sort with us. Just a bunch
Okay, cool.
of snacks and stuff. So.
Alright.
No guns, just snacks. Even the operator couldn't stop himself from laughing. When police arrived, both men already had their hands behind their heads and turned themselves in without a struggle. Swart was sentenced to 5 years probation and 30 days in prison, while Ayala Deliente was sentenced to 8 years in prison. His sentence was increased from just 1.5 years because, lo and behold, he tested positive for illicit substances the day of his sentencing. What a doofus. Snow, no. We've all heard about kids stealing knickknacks from people's yards, but you're not going to believe what this British woman called emergency services to report stolen.
Hello, I need the police, please.
Okay, what's happening?
Well, what happened was there's been a theft from outside my house.
Okay, when did this occur?
Well, I'm not sure exactly because I ain't been out to check on him for about 5 hours. But I went out about 5 minutes ago to have a fag, and he's gone. So it could be in the last 5 hours, but I know there's CCTV up this road.
Who's gone, sorry?
My snowman.
Right, your snowman's been stolen.
Yeah.
A snowman? Did she not think that, it might have just melted? Man, if this isn't a joke, then I really have no words. Let's at least hear what else she had to say.
He had 2 of my teaspoons in his arms and money on his face. I'm not being funny. I know it's only a snowman, but I thought it'd be fine. What with it being icy and that, people ain't been walking up and down the road. It ain't a nice road, but at the end of the day, you don't expect someone to nick your snowman, do you know what I mean?
Yep, what a complete waste of police time. Although I do empathize. Last winter, I had my snowman stolen and not a day goes by that I don't wonder where he is. The live stream hoax. Unfortunately, not everyone calls the police with good intentions, something 21-year-old Ashton Connor Garcia knows all too well. From June 2022 to March 2023, Garcia was a regular user of an online message board centered around making fake emergency calls. Not only this, but he'd regularly live stream himself making these hoax calls using online platforms like Discord.
Evident Police Service, how can I help you?
Oh my God, finally, it wasn't working. My mom, she's dying. I accidentally shot her.
Whoa, what a horrible thing to joke about. But this is just one of dozens of hoax calls Garcia made across the US and Canada, the majority being of a similarly violent nature. The calls were intended to produce an immediate response from police who'd arrive at the locations Garcia told them, only to find innocent and confused families greeting them with no knowledge of any call. Garcia would even taunt dispatch officers after the hoax had been discovered, all for the entertainment of his viewers.
You're doing threats that are terroristic and that they can go beyond the borders of Canada, is what I'm telling you.
Dogs are wild. I'm a terrorist. You're right. I am terrorist.
Ironically, it would be some of these same viewers who eventually got him caught after an anonymous tip directed the FBI towards Garcia's Discord. The conniving caller was arrested in March 2023 and sentenced to 3 years in prison for federal charges of extortion and harassment. Considering the sheer fear he's responsible for and all the police time he's wasted, 3 years isn't nearly enough in my opinion. Let's just hope this serves as a valuable lesson to him anyway. The cop that saved Christmas. The holiday season can be a stressful time of year for many reasons, and that goes doubly for 911 operators. One dispatcher recalled the time a woman had called at 6:30 a.m. on Christmas morning. She'd spoken in a breathless, panicked voice asking for help, and the dispatcher had tried their best to calm the woman down and find out what the emergency was. That's when they were told the woman didn't know how to get the cranberry sauce out of the can without it coming out in chunks. Ah, of course, what an emergency. Jeez, what is wrong with people? Ever helpful, the officer told her to try opening it from the other end and sliding it out onto a plate. And while this solved her cranberry sauce emergency, a significantly more serious one began when an officer arrived at her door later to educate her on the real use of 911. First contact. Have you ever seen something unexplainable floating in the night sky? Something that makes you question if we're really alone in the universe? If so, you might understand how this man from Hertfordshire, England felt when he called the emergency line to report what sounds eerily like an extraterrestrial sighting.
Caller, you're through to the police. What's your emergency, please?
It's not an emergency per se, but there's something flying over our house that it's coming towards me now. It's almost lights blazing, and I don't know what the hell it is. Well, I see these big bright lights floating in the sky. They're coming towards me. I'm in Canterbury Way, Stevenage. I don't know what the hell it is. It's not an airplane, because it's hovering. I don't know what it is.
Whoa! A big, strange hovering craft in the sky? That's super weird. What could it have been? The dispatch officer said she'll make a note of the report and ended the call. Now, if the story had ended there, this would have remained just another unsolved alien sighting. But things took an unexpected turn when the man called again, this time with a shocking admission.
I thought I saw something that was really strange, and it wasn't, actually.
Right, do you know what? Because I just spoke to you myself. Do you know what it was then, or...?
Well, you won't believe this. You won't believe it. It's a moon.
Wow. Yeah, that operator really didn't sound impressed.
Right, okay, I'll log that down, okay, but we're really busy,
I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Okay, thanks, goodbye.
How does that even happen? I think everyone's seen the damn moon enough times to know it's not an alien. Faith in humanity, -10. Get off my lawn. During a Reddit Ask Me Anything, one former police officer recalled a particularly aggravating dispatch call they'd had. Responding to a man who claimed a person had been trespassing on his property, the officer arrived at his house. When asked for further details, however, the caller, a 50-something former elementary school principal, revealed that this supposed intruder was just his neighbor's 3-year-old child. What? The kid had been playing on his front lawn, and in response, the former principal demanded they be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Oh, brother. Unsurprisingly, the officer refused to take action. Old Principal Buzzkill was irate by this and filed a formal complaint about the cop, but it was quickly dismissed. I'd hate to imagine what studying at that principal school would have been like. Interview from hell. On the 7th of April 2023 in Macon, Georgia, a 911 operator received a terrifying call. A woman was hiding inside a McDonald's bathroom claiming that a man was holding 5 people at gunpoint. With no time to lose, 2 deputies were dispatched and arrived at the scene just a couple of minutes later. Only there didn't seem to actually be a scene. The officers quiz staffed about a potential gunman, but nobody had any clue what they were talking about. Clearly, some prankster thought it would be funny to report a fake emergency to the police. But why at a random McDonald's? Unless the call was coming from inside the restaurant. Police conducted an investigation and soon found 18-year-old Tiara Everett, who'd arrived for an interview earlier that day and was acting suspicious. Police obtained her phone and determined that, yep, the 911 call had been made from it just a few minutes earlier. So what gives? Well, it looks like Tiara had been pressured into getting a job by her parents, but rather than actually try for it, had made up a story about a gunman to escape her interview. Damn, can you get any lazier and stupider? Rather than leaving with a job, the teen left in handcuffs and was later charged with false reporting of a crime and unlawful conduct. That's karma. Emergency bathroom break. There's nothing more stressful than when nature calls at the worst time. But the last thing you should do is, call the police. Well, one guy from Ontario was stuck in traffic when he thought this was exactly the right course of action.
Okay, you have the police.
Yeah.
Where's the emergency?
Actually, the thing is that I have to pee and these guys are not moving.
You have to pee.
Yeah.
This is your emergency that you have to pee?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how are the police going to help you urinate?
I have to pee, man. And
But I'm not sure what you'd like me to do that you have to urinate. I can't help you with that. I am disconnecting. Thanks. Bye.
What did he expect the response to be? Did he seriously think the police would send a couple of squad cars and make a path for him to the nearest bathroom? Maybe in the future they can introduce a special lane for this kind of situation. We can only hope our desperate urinator found a bottle in his car. The Nutty Director. If you thought you'd seen enough pee-related fiascos, think again. Dr. Ellen Glickman, director at Kent University, got herself in a lot of trouble after she called the police at 10:30 p.m. requesting assistance with entering her own university.
911, where's your emergency?
I'm at Kent State University. I need to get into my building, please.
Okay. Is this an emergency? Can you look up the non-emergency number?
It's a non-emergency. I need to get into my building, please.
Okay. I need you to look up the non-emergency number and contact the Kent State University Police
I need to get into my building, please.
She sounds like a really nice, not entitled woman at all, doesn't she? Well, officers arrived outside the university and spoke with the director. Glickman explained that she'd just come from a school commencement ceremony and couldn't seem to get into the university bathroom despite having the master key. But while she was talking, the officers smelled alcohol on her. This, combined with her seeming inability to use the keycard system, made them suspicious of Glickman's ability to drive herself home safely. So they requested she call someone to pick her up, an idea which clearly did not sit well with her.
Do you have someone you could call?
I do.
Would-
My husband.
Okay. Do you want to go pee first and start working on calling him?
No, I don't. This is not okay.
What's not okay?
That you're going to call my husband.
No, you're going to call him.
Throughout the whole interaction, Glickman was rude with the officers and outright refused to organize alternative transportation. According to her, owning a Tesla meant she was fine to drive under the influence. Man, insufferable doesn't seem a harsh enough word. Eventually, the officers arrested Glickman and the uptight director was taken to the station and charged with disorderly conduct by intoxication. Fortunately for her, the charges were later dropped, but she was forced to complete 10 hours of community service. I'd have loved to see how entitled she looked while picking up trash.
This is so unfair!
Tainted cream. I love ice cream. The sound of the truck tinkling down the road is one of my core childhood memories. But this next ice cream enjoyer was very disappointed with his purchase, so he did the only logical thing he could do. Called the cops.
Just police.
What's happened?
Oh, it's not an emergency, but there's an ice cream man, and I found a fly in my ice cream that he sold me, and
Sorry?
he sold me an ice cream, and I found a fly in it, a dead fly, and he's selling crisps from a multi-pack.
You've called 999 to tell me that.
Wait, a dead fly and questionable chip distribution? This guy has a point, right? No, of course he doesn't. For one, the fly probably flew into his ice cream after it was served to him. And again, there's no point applying logic to this. It's clearly something the caller has no grasp on. Car lock blunder. Okay, we've seen a lot of super stupid reasons to call the cops, but being locked inside an overheating car can't be one of them, right? This Orlando woman thought so back in 2009.
What's the emergency?
Hi, I'm at the corner of Pleasant Hill and John Young Parkway. I'm in a Walgreens parking lot, and my car will not start. I'm locked inside my car. I cannot open my car. I can't get the windows down. Nothing electrical works. And it's getting very hot in here, and I'm not feeling well.
Stressful stuff. That is until the dispatch officer suggested doing what most of us would have considered long before dialing 911.
Are you able to pull the lock up on the door and open the door? You should be able to just pull the lock up even if it's electrical.
I've tried it. Oh, okay. All right, I got that going. Okay.
So are you able to get out of the car now?
Yes, I got the door open.
Okay.
Wow. Yep, this woman definitely belongs in this video. Please use at least a few brain cells before defaulting to the emergency services, people. The Alligator Wrangler. Robert Collin reached the hallowed halls of iconic Florida man status when he caught a wild alligator using nothing but a nylon rope. The 71-year-old called 911 shortly after ensnaring the fully grown gator outside a canal and tying it to a nearby handrail. But why the heck did he catch the dangerous animal in the first place? Well, when the police arrived, Collin explained to them that he often visited the canal to feed the turtles, a wholesome pastime he claimed was therapy for his heart condition. Apparently, though, over the last 3 years, the gator in question had started eating the turtles. After animal control had failed to take action, Collin decided it was time to take things into his own hands and lasso the reptile. Instead of being celebrated for his actions, however, Collin was immediately arrested and charged with injuring the gator, which sadly had to be euthanized. Now, I'm not the biggest alligator fan, but knowing one died because of somebody's stupidity, that makes my blood boil. Don't touch my snow! Over the many years I've spent studying human behavior, I've learned one thing. Never underestimate people's potential for ignorance. Take this elderly Illinois woman who threatened to call the cops after she spotted 2 men shoveling snow off the sidewalk outside her house.
So you mad because we cleaned off your sidewalk?
Don't trespass that line. I don't need to.
We're helping you. You mad because we cleaned off your sidewalk?
It should be common knowledge that the sidewalk is public property and shoveling snow for other people is generally seen as a kindness. For some reason, though, this woman was incensed by the helpful duo and even started shoveling the snow back onto part of the sidewalk. In a second video, we see that the police did arrive, but after the situation was explained to them, they rightfully made no charges. If you ask me, the woman should have been charged for wasting police time and being a terrible person. Traffic stop tirade. The average police officer deals with hundreds of traffic stops throughout their career, but few are as exhausting as this encounter with a man who was pulled over in Florida back in March 2021. Initially pulled over for a busted taillight, officers soon discovered that the driver didn't have the paperwork for the truck and that the registration had expired 10 years ago. Pretty fishy. But it was about to get a whole lot worse. Under Florida law, it's a criminal offense to drive a vehicle with expired registration. As such, the police were within their rights to impound the vehicle.
I don't need to step out of the vehicle. What do you want me stepping out of the vehicle for?
Well, because I'm going to tow the car, because it hasn't been registered in 10 years. So I'm trying to be civil with you and asking you to step out.
Despite the weakness of his case, the driver seemed determined to fight with the officers throughout every step of the process.
I've been very nice with you. You've been nothing but attitude-y since I pulled you over.
You ruined my night.
Eventually, he gets out, though this doesn't calm him down.
Pull off the road.
This truck has not been registered or renewed in 10 years.
What would it hurt you if I pulled it off the road? I'm telling you straight up, I've had issues with you guys, and you guys aren't my friends. And I'm going to tell you right now, she's not nice.
Yeah, they're not in there to be nice, pal. Where this guy makes his biggest mistake, however, is in refusing to sign the criminal citation for the vehicle, an arrestable offense. Then the moment you've been waiting for, he calls the cops on, themselves, which shockingly backfires when they decide to take action.
Why are you arresting me? Why? Put your hands behind your back now. God, I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting.
After being arrested and charged, the man pled guilty to not having insurance and was forced to pay $353 in fines on top of any accrued towing fees. All other charges included misuse of 911 were dropped. Seems he got away lucky and without having an aneurysm. Impressive. Well, would you look at that? We've reached the end of the video. Which one of these 911 calls did you think was the dumbest? Let me know down in the comments, and thanks for watching.